Hey, do you remember when you were growing up that you would probably try to get the approval or at least the attention of your parents? You may have done all your chores without complaining. You may have drawn a nice picture or something and given it to your mommy or daddy. Or, maybe you were just quiet when everyone else was being loud so that they could look at you and think, "Oh, look at our cute little boy. He's so precious. He doesn't make a word or make a sound." Well, I did some things too growing up that where I wanted to get the attention and approval of my dad, except mine was a little bit more extreme. I signed up for the military, and it was 10 years. I signed up for 10 years. My dad was a lieutenant colonel in the army, and when that guy walked in the room, people would stand up at attention pretty much. He just had their respect. When I walked into a room, people would ask me to fill up a potato chip bowl. I didn't, I was the last person in the world who should have been joining the military. But I figured if I did that, and I would have been the first person in our family to join the military. In fact, to this day, I'm the only one that I'm aware of. But if I had just signed up, if I got those boots on and I got them, looked really cool and everything, Daddy would give me approval. Daddy would give me attention. Boy, I got to tell you, in hindsight, there's a lot better ways to get attention from a parent than joining the military. Heck, I could have blown up the backyard and gotten a lot more attention a lot faster. But mine was slow and painful. It was like pulling off the Band-Aid off your hairy arms very slowly. I remember graduating high school. I was 17, and roughly 2 weeks later, I was on a plane down to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, or as they called it, Fort Lost in the Wood, Missouri. And it was. It was summertime and like 80s and 90s and humid. And when you go to basic training for any military service, you don't go with your pair of shorts on, flip flops, and everything. You get to wear the wool socks and the black boots and the heavy stuff, like you're gonna go out shoveling snow in the wintertime, except you're in the middle of the summer with the heat. And as you go for walks, marches, my friend, marches. You go for marches, and you watch your friends passing out. You got to throw water all over them and everything. And what I learned really quick is that when you do something and get the approval of others, so maybe you're the person who, you know, your mom or dad wanted you to go to be a doctor, or they wanted you to go to law school, or they wanted you to do some career path or something that would make them happy or proud. But as you soon discover, when mommy and daddy are home watching TV, or dad's sitting there in his recliner reading his newspaper from cover to cover, or if they're out having going to a party and dancing and everything, you're the one who's got to do all that stuff. You're the one who's got to stay up late studying. You're the one who's got to go through all the exams. If you're in the military, as I did, you're the one who's got to go on 10-mile ruck marches, I think is what we call them, with stuff in a backpack. And again, you're just losing water. Your whole body is like salt. And getting blisters on your ears from the sun. So when mommy and daddy are having a good time and doing their thing, and when they've conveniently forgotten about you, you're the one who's going through all that stuff, and for no other reason than hopefully you get their attention. Well, I was at basic training, and I don't remember getting any attention. My dad wrote me one letter, I remember that, talking about the infantry as the queen of battle. Now, mind you, I could have cared less about the infantry as the queen of battle. I could have cared less about the military. I will say that being a people pleaser, military is a great place to be because you just do what everyone tells you. And that would have been fine and dandy, except for some reason, I decided I was going to be an officer just like daddy, right? So instead of just following what people are telling me to do, being a good soldier and, maybe having some fun, I decided to be an officer. Now, what that meant is that I graduated in the summer, and that fall I went off to college, and I was in the ROTC program, where all of a sudden I've got to be this, not a carefree, fun-loving person. All of a sudden you're serious. You got to stand up straight. You got to tell people what to do. You've got to learn all these different things. And, it wasn't a lot of fun. 10 years. Did I say that part? Signed up for 10 years. So 2 years later, I was already commissioned. I was 19 years old. 19 years old, and I was an officer in U.S. Army Reserve. I had no business being there. And after all that stuff, guess how much attention I got from my dad? Guess how many approvals did I get? None. Not a word, nothing. Right? Dad was still doing his thing. I was still invisible. But I had a little butter bar. I had the second lieutenant bar on there. So, hey, I was, highfalutin. I was big stuff. And even with the bar on, when I walked in the room, people still wondered if I was there to refill the potato chip bowl. So as you go through life, just know that it'll save you some time, save you some energy, save you a lot of heartache, is to not live your life for other people, right? You may be one of those folks who, again, you want to be a people pleaser, you want to make people happy, you don't want them to be upset with you. But if I can catch you at a young age, great. If you're an older age, great. You got to stop doing stuff for other people, stop living for other people, because they've already had a chance to live their life. They've made their mistakes, they've made their choices. God made you to be who you are, so make your choices based on that. Easier said than done, I know. If mommy and daddy are going to cut you off financially, they're going to kick you out of the family, whatever. Maybe they're all possibilities. I don't know. But my point is simply be the person you're meant to be and don't live for anybody else, because at the end of the day, you got to do all the work, my friend. So choose wisely, choose what's best for you. And remember, at the end of the day, you just have to look to God and say, okay, I did the best I could based on what you gave me. It's not to your mommy and daddy. It's not to your brothers and sisters, not to your spouse, not to anybody else. Be true to yourself, be who you are, and be that well.